Hey everyone, and welcome back to Zero Escape 999, where last time we met up with everyone again in a giant hospital room in the middle of this ship, which is disconcerting to say the least. But the good news is everyone's reunited, or we were for a little bit. The Reds were missing parts, so we all split up to look for parts, and while we were looking for parts, Snake went missing, and the Reds were mysteriously fixed. And now Clover has taken off, sprinting out to find her brother, and now we have all split up to look for both Snake and Clover. So, let's get started. We are searching with June in hopes of finding one or both of them. I'll start out with the casino. How about the casino on B deck? Okay, sounds good. They took off up the stairs at a run. Before they knew it, they were there. So was Lotus. She was leaning against the wall examining her nails. Hey, what do you think you're doing? She glanced up at him unimpressed. Isn't it obvious? I'm looking for Snake. I'm just not seeing it. Really? Maybe you need to look harder. Junpei didn't think that was the problem. Oh, by the way, I've got a proposal for you two. Care to hear it? Sure? What is it? Well, I don't like to beat around the bush, so I'll get right to it. Why don't we team up? Team up? Yeah. What, you need me to explain it to you? I'm saying, why don't we go through a numbered door? Okay, first of all, we'd be abandoning everyone else, which is shitty. But then other than that, what's our numbers? We've got, you know, I'm not even gonna bother calculating it myself because I have this wonderful thing called a calculator. So you are 8, I am 5, and June is 6. Digital root is, yeah, we're not going through a door. Lotus, even if we agreed to your plan, what door are we going through? We don't have a number 1 door. Even if we wanted to, that's impossible. Why? Junpei's bracelet number is 5 minus 6 and yours is 8. Our digital root would be 1. No, I didn't even need to do the math. June did it for me. 5 plus 6 plus 8 is 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. But there's no number 1 door in the large hospital room. The only doors there are 3, 7, and 8. Then we add another person. Huh? Who? What, isn't that easy? 7. She was right. If they added 7, 5 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7 is 26, 2 plus 6 is 8. Then the 4 of them could go through the number 8 door. Okay, who would that leave behind? That would leave behind Ace is 1. Hang on. That would leave behind Ace is 1, Snake is 2, Santa is 3, Clover is 4. We'd be taking 5, 6, 7, and 8, so those 4 would be together, and that would give... They would be screwed then. No, this isn't going to work, Lotus. But, well, hold on a sec. What about the other 4? Why don't you add them up? That was simple enough. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. The digital root for those 4 would be 1. That's right. And you know the number 1 door isn't in the big hospital room, right? We just discussed this? Okay, I am having another thought. We have everyone except for the 9th man and Snake, but we're hoping to find him. So we have a digital root of... We had a digital root of 9 before. Removing the 9th man, we still have a digital root of 9. The doors in that room are 3, 7, and 8, and that digital root is 9. So if we can find Snake, we can all go through doors. If we don't find Snake, we can't all go through doors. This is a problem. I mean, we could choose patterns so we only go through 2 doors and then maybe we could all fit through doors, but still, this... As soon as we're missing people, this gets a lot more annoying. Of course I know that. No, are you saying you'd leave them behind? Of course not. What kind of a woman do you think I am? Once we get off the ship, we could come back and rescue them, couldn't we? Then we wouldn't really be leaving them behind. Don't try to lie to us. I don't think you'd do anything of the sort. Really? Why do you think that? You remember, don't you? We have less than 5 hours left. Even if we manage to escape, there's no way we could come back to rescue them in less than 5 hours. Well, you never know until you try. No, you're not thinking this through. Even if we brought someone with us, we wouldn't be able to get off the ship. That's a good point. The exit's behind a door with a 9, right? The 4 of us couldn't open door 9. Is there any combination of 5, 6, 7, 8? 5, 6, 7 has a digital root of... Lotus, you would be left behind. If we did this, you would be left behind. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Yeah, that's right. The digital root for us 4 will be 8, so we'd have to add ace to make 9. Right. Unless we bring ace 2, we'll be stuck. Lotus scratched the back of her ear. Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. She didn't sound particularly bothered by what Junpei said, nor did she seem particularly surprised. So you knew that. You knew this was pointless. Well, let's try and find another way, okay? A way to get out of here with all 8 of us. That's impossible. Are you being serious? You do know that only 5 people at most can go through one of the numbered doors, right? The number 9 isn't going to be an exception to that rule. Regardless, at least 3 people will get left behind. That's a fair point. This sucks. You're right, that is true. The moment he said it, Junpei felt a chill run down his spine. It was true. How could Lotus remain so cavalier about such a terrifying prospect was beyond him? When they found the number 9, they would have to choose which 3 of them would die. Lotus's forehead furrowed. Do you think I could have a moment alone? There are some things that I need to think about. You know what? Fair. God, even if her suggestion was really callous and cruel to suggest leaving people behind, that did raise some really disturbing points. We can't get everyone off this ship. Junpei and June turned and began walking away from Lotus. Talking to her left them feeling ill. Junpei's heart felt heavy and his steps sluggish. But he told himself pessimism would get them nowhere. So he forced himself to smile and turned to June. Let's just focus on finding Snake for now, okay? Yeah, you're right. We can think about those other things later. Junpei nodded. Alright, where should we go next? She didn't seem surprised by the fact that she wouldn't be able to get off the ship, that we wouldn't be able to get off the ship. So I wonder if she was deliberately trying to point that out to us, how hopeless this situation is. That would go away towards explaining why she's just so kind of callous in general. Alright, let's try the first class cabin next. Let's go take a look at the first class cabin. It's really close. They turned around and took off down the hallway to their left. Outside of the first class cabin, they found Clover. Oh, thank goodness! She was standing in front of the wall. She was staring at a meaningless point on the wall, her eyes blank. What should Junpei do? Well, we need to comfort her. We need to make sure she's okay. She's stressed, and for good reason. Are you alright? He did his best to sound friendly, but Clover didn't respond. Look, I know you're really worried, but, He could think of no words to say that didn't sound hollow and fake. Junpei hesitated. Clover was so consumed by worry and fear that Junpei feared it would crush her. Her actions didn't surprise him. She'd suddenly lost her brother, who she seemed to have been very close to. Lone. Her voice was thin and barely audible. Lone. Huh? Lone. I said leave me alone! Suddenly she was screaming. You're so annoying, just go away and leave me alone! Just looking at you guys is pissing me off. Go away, okay? Just go somewhere else. Stop bothering me. Junpei was taken aback. Yeah, but also, like, I get it. She's... fuck. Such anger and hate. Jun's eyes had gone wide with surprise as well. Why are you still here? Didn't you hear me? Fine, forget it. If you aren't gonna leave, then I'll just... Alright, let's go, Jun. Yeah. Oh, Clover, I wish we could help. They turned and left Clover. As they did, Junpei glanced back over his shoulder to see Clover wiping tears from her face. We gotta find Snake, and that will hopefully fix everything. Clover had driven home the misery of their situation, but Junpei told himself that getting depressed would get him nowhere but depress. For Clover's sake, they had to find Snake, and fast. He did his best to push away the misery and depression and force a smile. So where should we go next? Well, we've done the casino, so I guess the hallway with all the rooms. Hey, why don't we go back to C deck? We can take a look at that hallway with all the rooms. Okay, let's get going then. Together they ran down the stairs. Ahead of them, farther down the hallway, they spotted Ace. Hey, Snake! Where are you? Answer me if you're there. Junpei paused. What did he want to do? Well, let's go talk to Ace, see if he's... Well, obviously he hasn't found Snake, but... at least get an update. With Jun in tow, Junpei jogged up to Ace. Hearing their footsteps, he turned to greet them. Oh, hello there. Snake is... well, that's obvious, isn't it? I assume you haven't found him yet either? Junpei nodded. I really wonder where he could have gone. Well, wherever he's disappeared to, we must find him as quickly as we can, for Clover's sake. Right. Jun's face looked kind of enraptured. By the way, do you think Clover and Snake are really siblings? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? The question seemed somehow odd to Junpei. Why? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? They don't look alike at all. Ace looked at him for a moment and then spoke. Yes, now that you mention it, they don't. Now that you mention it. Still, there are a great many siblings who do not look like one another. It certainly isn't rare. Junpei wasn't sure why, or even if he was seeing what he thought he was, but he could have sworn that Ace's face tightened as he spoke. At any rate, we really must find Snake as soon as possible. The clock is ticking, we really can't afford to waste any time. Very well, let's get back to the search, shall we? You can leave this area to me. Alright, let's go, Junpei. At Jun's urging, they left. I mean, Ace isn't incorrect, it's very likely he just never thought about it. Like, many siblings don't necessarily look alike. They don't have to. Usually, yes, siblings look similar, but it's not a requirement. So it's likely Ace just didn't think about it before. I think you're just overthinking this, Junpei. They found themselves back at the stairs, but Junpei's mind was in turmoil. There was so much to think about, but... no, it would have to be put aside for now. As Ace had said, finding Snake was her top priority. Junpei did his best to clear his mind. Alright, where should we go next? Well, at this point we have searched everywhere, so I guess back to the large hospital room. Why don't we go back to the big hospital room? Okay, let's go then. They turned and headed back toward the large hospital room. On the way to the large hospital room, Junpei and Jun noticed Santa standing next to the number 3 door. Junpei paused. What should Junpei do? Well, we're gonna talk to him, of course. What you up to, Snake? Or Santa? We're looking for Snake. Junpei and Jun walked up to Santa. What are you doing? What, you can't tell? I'm checking out the red. Why, is there something bothering you? What, it's not bothering you? Huh? The guts of this red. Why wouldn't you wonder who the hell put it back in here? Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm curious too, but who do you think did it? Santa's eyes narrowed as he looked at Jun. She shook her head. I don't know. Well, what about you, Junpei? Who do you think fixed this thing for us? My guess is Zero. Honestly, I think it was probably Zero. Why? Isn't that obvious? He's the guy who set this whole thing up. You don't think that should mean the opposite? Seems to me that it means he didn't do it. I mean, who do you think took that stuff out in the first place? Probably Zero. Yeah, exactly. But that also means Zero's in the perfect position to be able to put it back because he would know where it's stored. But then why would he do it is a good question. Then why the hell would he put them back in after he'd taken them out himself? It just doesn't make sense. Why do all that work? I know, maybe to split us up for a bit? I don't know. We all split up to go looking for it, and that's really the only thing that happened as a result. And then when we came back from being split up and looking, they were back, so I'm guessing that was the goal, but then why? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So what happened then? Who put that stuff back in the Reds? Junpei furrowed his brow. So in other words, one of us is the person who fixed the Red. Santa grinned. Bingo! We have a winner! But if that's true, then the person who did it doesn't want the rest of us to know that they fixed the Red. Yeah. But why? No idea. Maybe if they come clean on that, means we'd find out something else. Something bad. Something bad? Don't know. But whatever it is, it's gotta be worth hiding. I guess that's fair. Of course. It could have something to do with Snake's disappearance. That's also a good point. Would Zero, if it was Zero who took the parts and put them back in, did he want to get rid of Snake? Did he want to, like, split us up so that he could do something with Snake? Is that why we can't find him? You think that maybe they did something to Snake? It's not out of the question. Junpei stared at Santa. There was something about him that made Junpei wary. At first, he'd assumed the other man wasn't terribly clever, but Junpei was beginning to think he would need to reevaluate that assessment. When Santa spoke again, his voice was quiet. Look, if you trust anybody in this game, you're gonna lose. You've gotta be careful. The person you trust the most could turn out to be the one who stabs you in the back. With that depressing suggestion, he turned and quietly walked away. Junpei and Jun looked at one another and smiled awkwardly. Well, at this point I think we're done searching. We've checked everything. We looked everywhere they could think of, but Snake was nowhere to be found. Lotus looked around at 6 frustrated faces and spoke. We can't keep looking for Snake. Wherever he is, it's not here. We need to get moving. Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point to wasting any more time. The others seemed to be having similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, Seven spoke. We don't got a choice. Lotus is right. I don't want to leave him behind, but if he's not here, he's not here. We're not going to find Snake. There's a problem, though. We got to figure out who's going to go through which door. Okay, so if the 7 of us go, what is our digital route? It was 9 before. Without Snake, that would make it 7. So we can go through a combination of doors which has a digital route of 7. 3 and 7 makes 10, makes 1. 3 and 8 makes 11, makes 2. 7 and 8 makes 15. Wait, 7 and 8 makes 15, makes 6. Is there no combination? Is there no combination where we can all go through? 6, and then 7 for the group of us. I don't think there's any I don't think we can all go through doors. Yes, I have a proposal. She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. Finally, she stopped. Why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice? Horrifying? Sacrifice? Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yes. You've all figured it out by now, haven't you? We can't all make it through those doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people, respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people, respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. I think she's right. I can't think of any combination off the top of my head that would work. It wasn't pleasant, but she was right. There wasn't any way that the numbers worked out. If one group was 4, the other group would always have a digital route that didn't match a door. When Seven spoke, his voice was strained. Okay, hang on. I want to think about the math behind this. So, our digital route is 7. If we pick 4 people to go through a door 3, that leaves a digital route of 4 for the rest of them. Can't go through a door. There might be a combination which, if it's 13, if their total is 13 and it's 3 of them maybe could go through a door. No, that wouldn't even begin to make sense. If we go through door 7, that leaves a digital route of 9, can't go through any other doors. And if we go through, and you need at least 3 people, so definitely. And if we go through door 8, that leaves a digital route of, oh crap, it would be 7 minus 8, -1, -1 mod 9 would put us back to 8? Yeah, that would give us a digital route of 8, and we can't have 2 groups of 8 going through door 8 at the same time because the door would be occupied. No, we can't. If we do a group of 4, we cannot let the other 3 go through. When Seven spoke, his voice was strained. Then you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind? Yes, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logically and morally the best solution. In a utilitarian sense, I suppose. If the other 6 are to survive, then 1 person has to sacrifice themselves. No, that's too cruel. What's so cruel about it? To just sacrifice someone like that. June, this is Zero's fault. This is, like, logically, the best thing we can do is leave 1 person behind. If Snake was here, our digital route would be 9, matching the doors, we'd be able to all go through just fine. But without Snake, we have to leave at least 1 more person behind. There's no choice here. Then what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1. That's not what I meant. We shouldn't sacrifice anyone. I told you that's impossible. Wake up. Whoa, calm down, you 2. Santa stepped between Lotus and June. Look, what Lotus is trying to say is that you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right? Exactly. That's how democracy works. I'm not a fan of utilitarian democracy. That seems very easy to wind up in some really fucked up situations, but... And for that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who will be sacrificed is through a vote. What do you think? No, that's terrible! I'm not asking you! Shut up! What about you, Santa? Me? Well, I agree, I guess. Alright, that's 1 vote for. Counting mine, that's 2. 7? I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die. Glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover? Clover had moved away from the groups and was sitting on one of the beds. I can't imagine she's happy about the idea of leaving Snake behind. Her whole body drooped. Junpei didn't know if she'd even heard Lotus's proposal. Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder. Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors. We searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow? Clover slowly lifted her face. Let's go look for him together, okay? That's manipulative, Lotus. Okay, I am starting to see why Junpei and Seven were being kind of dicks to her earlier, but God. At least at this point, I can see it a lot better. If we sacrifice one person, then we can go look for him. You agree with me, right? Clover nodded once. The motion carries. Lotus spun around and walked toward Junpei. Now, let's start a vote to... That won't be necessary. Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech and everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at him. He didn't seem to notice or even care. I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes? Really? You're volunteering? That is surprising. Ace, what are you saying? No, you can't do that. That won't solve anything. June, he's consenting to this. And we don't have a better solution. Do you have a better solution? June's voice shook and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with her. Like, I get it. I do. I don't want to leave anyone behind, but... Ace simply looked at her. June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself. Huh? I trust you, each and every one of you. I believe you'll come back for me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's optimistic and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out. If we go through them, you won't be able to return, yes? Yeah. True, but that will not be the case once you have escaped from the ship. What? Please, I beg you, once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally, within the time limit Zero has given us. No, that's ridiculous! There's no way we could get back in time! Finally, Junpei could hold his tongue no longer. We've only got 5 hours left! We don't even know where the hell we are! How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you? Then perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me? Or perhaps you would be willing to leave June behind? Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal. You see, there's no other choice. Then I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go, quickly. Junpei stood frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lips so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Sansa stood against the wall, calm and aloof. Seven tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Clover stared at Ace with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others. Good. Let's accept this kind offer then. She smiled, her eyes bright. I do respect that Lotus seems to be approaching this from a very utilitarian, let's do the best we can with what we have available mindset. But God, she seems very unconcerned by a lot of this to a disturbing degree, and it's worrying me a lot. She smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own. Good, I think this is the best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. Perhaps it's my age, but I get tired so easily these days. As he spoke, Ace lowered himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei suddenly heard the screeching of metal on metal. Don't like that? It was almost as if the ship were screaming. Would it really hold until their time limit was up? Already, D-Deck was flooded. In the sudden silence, the only sound was the sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first. Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time, why don't we hurry it up? As if a spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once. You're right, we should get going. That's all we can do right now. Seven. Seriously, honestly, I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk. You too, Santa? I have to find my brother. Wait, all of you! Let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Junpei? Say something. Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way. His words sounded hollow and fake. Fine. Forget about it. I'll figure it out on my own. She spun around and ran towards Ace. He had slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled. Come on, Ace, please stand up. You can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out a way that we can all get out of here. Then it happened. Ace? Oh God, are you... Ace fell forward. He slumped over onto the wooden floor, his body folded in half like a boxer out cold. What the hell happened? Ace! June cried out and dropped to her knees beside him. She put her arm around his neck and did her best to lift him up. What happened, Ace? Say something. She shook him frantically. His eyes fluttered open. I'm all right. His voice was weak and slightly slurred. How are you fine? This. He held out his left arm and slowly opened his hand. In it was a syringe and a small vial. What the hell did you do, Ace? The vial was empty. It had only recently been emptied. A few drops clung to the sides. There was a label taped to the side of the container. It read, Soparil Beta. Soparil Beta? Junpei had no idea what it meant or what kind of medicine it might be. Did you use this? Yes. It's just anesthetic. I'll be fine. Anesthetic? I found it earlier, while we were searching hospital rooms. I thought it might be useful later. I didn't think I'd be using it on myself. Why did you do this? Didn't I tell you? I'd like to take a nap. I really am very tired. Junpei knew that wasn't why he'd done it. Ace had injected himself with anesthetic to forestall Junpei and June's attempts to bring him along. If he couldn't move, there was nothing they could do. He had injected himself so that they would be forced to leave him behind. Ace? Is there something you want to say? I'd just like to sleep. A little. Could you keep it down? No! Don't, Ace! Don't fall asleep! You feel warm. So comfortable. I think I'll have a nice dream. Ace's eyelids drooped further and further, almost as though he were dying. Ace! Ace! She shook his shoulder again and again. But this time, he didn't respond. Only the gentle rising and falling of his chest told them he was alive. Junpei was relieved to see he was, in fact, still breathing. That's a drastic measure. He lifted Ace up off the floor and laid him on the bed he'd been leaning against. When Junpei turned around, Lotus gave him a look of pity. Well, we really don't have a choice now. We can't let his sacrifice go to waste. Right? She wasn't feeling any remorse, Junpei was sure of that. Still, he held no grounds upon which to oppose her. It felt wrong, but he had to agree. Then suddenly, Santa spoke. Yeah, but we're not done choosing yet, are we? Huh? What do you mean? But we haven't decided who's going in what door. Yes, that's true. Well, enough of this screwing around. Let's decide. You first, Lotus. Which door do you want? I want door number 8. It's the same number as my bracelet number. Got it. You're 8. You're next, 7. Which one do you want? I'll take 7. I can't get along with that old lady. What? What did you just say? Her face distorted by rage, Lotus took a step towards 7. He threw his hands up, and he threw up his hands and made a face like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. You're gonna get it next time. She shot him a glare that would have melted steel, then turned and stalked off. Alright, who's next? Santa's gaze moved across the 3 people left. Finally, they stopped on Junpei. Junpei, which door do you want? At last, Junpei's mind was already made up. And I think we'll decide which door we go through. Next time on Zero Escape 999. Door 3 door 7, or door 8. I'll see everyone next time for that.